Welcome to Final Expense Telesales. My name is Dana Neeson. Today I'm going to talk to you about clarifying questions, the importance of the unscripted questions so you can understand more about the person that you're on the phone with, which will ultimately help you understand how you can help them and identify the pain and the need. If you're just now finding this channel, thank you for being here. I run a telesales team for Tailored Legacy. We sell final expense insurance over the phone and we just use one carrier. My job is to help you have stronger, more sophisticated sales conversations. We're going to start with the basic definition on Google of what is a clarifying question. And according to Google, a clarifying question is a question asked to make a statement or opinion clearer or to avoid confusion. Clarifying questions are used when the listener already has some information, but it is not clear or sufficient. Okay? Now, the problem with clarifying questions is that the listener, which is the agent, we don't always think that the information we're getting is not clear or sufficient. We think it's sufficient enough and therefore we move the conversation forward. And that is where the first mistake begins, is identifying whether or not the information that you're getting from your client is clear. Is it sufficient? Can you go deeper? And I think without overthinking it, you can just make an assumption that most of the time, the answers that your clients will give you when you ask them questions will always be surface. There is always room to clarify and go deeper to learn more. And how I'm going to help you really understand the opportunities that are sometimes missed to ask clarifying questions, we're going to listen to just a discovery portion of a call that happened yesterday, which happened to be a great call, by the way. Did end up in a sale, and the customer ended up crying at the end because he was so happy he was finally able to make a decision because he has trust issues and really hasn't trusted anybody before yesterday. We're not going to listen to the whole call because the point of this is to start getting you to think about the importance of clarifying questions, and even the smallest things can change the trajectory of the rest of the call.
Hello, Scott.
Yeah.
Hi, Mr. Rice. My name's Brandon. We were reaching out to you because we noticed that you were possibly considering putting some coverage in place for your family for a final expense. Has your phone been ringing off the hook lately?
No.
No? Scott, were you still interested in putting some protection in place to help with burial costs?
Yeah.
Okay, and were we just looking for yourself or for a loved one as well?
Just me.
Just for you. Okay, perfect. So I'm happy to talk with you, Scott. I do have to let you know that this call may be monitored and recorded for quality assurance. And just to confirm, I have you at 3. I'm curious, Scott, what caused you to start looking for protection in the first place?
I'm 64 years old.
Okay, so just getting older, starting to realize that this is something that you want to have?
Yep.
Okay, pause. So if you have a script in front of you and it has a list of discovery questions or questions in general that they want you to start asking your customers, anytime you get an answer from that question, there will always be an opportunity for you to learn more. So if you turn this into a question, answer, question, answer, question, answer, and you're just going down the list and going down your script to get through it, you're missing the point, right? The script that contains questions is a baseline and a foundation for you to understand how to initiate a conversation with someone who had inquired for information on life insurance. It is not the be-all, end-all of a sales process. These videos, and if you have a mentor or a coach or a trainer, that is what's going to help you to understand how to use the script that you have to bring it to life. And so we have our very first opportunity right here for a clarifying question. The first question we ask, what caused you to look for information in the first place? That should be on everybody's script. I hope it is on your script. If it is not, please add it. So you have to know that the answer you're going to get is going to be a surface level answer. I just talked about this on a video a few days ago, or possibly last week. The more common response you'll get is, I'm just getting older. He said, I'm 68. Okay, surface level answer. So what type of clarifying question could you ask to learn more? Okay, so you're 68. What about being 68 has you thinking that now's the right time to look at putting something into place? We're going to go deeper. And I already know what happens in this call, so I do know that this agent does end up circling back and asking that question. And I won't give away what the answer was, and I'll keep hitting play, but we're gonna hear lots of opportunities to ask clarifying questions.
Okay. And before I kind of go into the details of our program, I'd like to ask you a few questions just so I can get a better understanding of what you're looking for, and also to make sure that we can help you in the first place. Would that be okay?
Yeah.
What type of protection, if any, do you currently have in place for yourself, for your family, in case something were to happen to you?
None.
Okay. So no policy in place. What about any sort of safety net, like a savings or investments, anything that would help
No.
ease the burden?
None.
Understood. And Scott, before today, were you out there looking for a solution to put something in place?
No.
Okay. Have you ever had a policy before, or would this be your first time?
Just through my union.
Through your union. Okay.
Yeah. I lost that when I retired.
And how long ago was that?
I'm not sure, about 18 years ago.
Retired, lost coverage, 18 years ago. Okay.
No, about 8 to 10 years ago, something like that.
8 to 10. Gotcha.
Something
So
like
you've
that.
been without coverage for close to 10 years. What about your age makes you think that this is something that you need now?
Perfect. That was perfect. Such a good clarifying question that, like, you should be confused at this point, right? Just because someone is getting older is not the reason they're going to buy. Okay? Just because someone is getting older is not the reason they're going to buy. You need to go deeper. So let's see what the answer was.
Well, because of all my people that I know are dying.
Because all the people that I know are dying. Okay, so surface level answer was, I'm 68. Second layer answer, because I'm 68, I'm starting to see people everywhere in my life that are dying. Now, we'll see that this agent took that as that clarifying question and then moved on from there, but there is still more opportunity to go even deeper. And the deeper you can get with asking clarifying questions, the better your conversations will be. So think about it for a minute. We got a clarifying answer to a question about the age. Well, everybody around me I know is dying. A very simple clarifying question. Please be sure you're taking notes on this. All you have to say is, oh, so you're starting to see people that you know are dying. Can you tell me more about that? That's it. All you have to do is act like you want to know more, and they will tell you, right? Now, just the fact that people around him are dying is still surface. There is more in there that he can give that will then what? Start to create urgency. The more you can get your customer to talk about the real reason that it's on their mind and weighing on their heart is what you have to get to. So the agent did a good job at clarifying the age, but we still have to take it one step further if we want to really elevate the quality of our calls.
That I grew up with.
Well, that makes a
dying.
lot of sense. So you lost a few friends recently?
Most of them, yeah.
Most of them.
Yeah.
About to lose another.
Okay.
About to lose another.
Oh, man, I'm sorry to hear that, Scott.
Tell me more about that. What type of impact must that be having on you? Okay, so it's not a bad thing to sit here for a moment and get him to talk about the pain that this is causing him and why he's all of a sudden thinking that he needs to take action.
Yeah, that kind of triggers something, right, in yourself to kind of get something done.
Yep.
Well,
and I don't want to keep pausing every 3 seconds so that you aren't paying attention to the call, but I really can't help myself. What you just heard was the agent clarifying for him, right? He explained, so he said, well, it sounds like it was triggering that you might need to get something done, right? And that's what I call leading the witness, where I spoon feed the answers that I want them to give me, but I'm just going to give it to them instead and get them to tell me yes because it's easier. But you're never going to get the full picture. It would have been much better and much stronger if that answer came from the client. So everybody around me is dying since I was growing up with as a kid, and another one's about to. I'm so sorry. Tell me more about what type of impact that's having on you. Let's get that from the client rather than you putting your interpretation of how he must be feeling on him.
So does the process of looking feel a little confusing and overwhelming to you?
Yeah.
Well, Scott, one thing I want to assure you is no matter what you decide today,
another opportunity for a clarifying question. Does the process of searching and figuring out how this all works, does that feel confusing to you? Which, by the way, is a good question, and it's a question on my script. But when he said yes, you could say, what about it feels confusing, right? Just to go deeper. And you don't have to ask every single clarifying question that I'm offering up on this training right now, but it's reinforcing how I want you to start thinking. That anything, there's a saying, I actually forget in this moment who said it, but it's when your customer says something, no. When you say something, it means something. When your customer says something, it means everything. And so even if it's just a simple yes to a question you ask, that means everything. And how can you learn more about why they said yes?
I want to help you understand it. That way, when you're ready to make a decision, you feel more confident because you have the right information to do so. Would that help?
Yeah.
Good. What expenses are you most concerned about your family having to pay for when you do pass away?
My funeral.
Okay, your funeral. Anything else you're concerned about?
No, not at the point. Not at this point, no.
Okay. And God forbid you were to pass away tomorrow, because nobody knows the day or the hour. Who in your family will be the one responsible for going down to the funeral home, meeting with the director, making all of those decisions, and having to pay for the funeral itself?
My daughter.
Okay, your daughter. And what's her name?
Tabitha Yage.
Tabitha. Okay. And I imagine you probably don't want Tabitha to have to pay for all of those expenses if she didn't have to, right?
Right.
And your daughter not having to come out of pocket, that sounds pretty important to you. Can you tell me more about that?
Okay, so that was an example of a clarifying question, by the way, what he just did. And I'm super proud of him for asking, by the way, because those clarifying questions can be really hard and uncomfortable to ask. So the fact that he's asking them, I'm very, very happy. Now we have to work on how you're asking them, right? And you want the clarifying questions to sound a little bit different than asking a question like, what expenses are you concerned about this policy having to pay for, right? If you were to rewind this and listen to, so your daughter not having to pay for it, it sounds very important to you. Can you tell me more about that? The way that he asked that question sounded just like any other question. And so if you're going to master the art of clarifying questions, you also have to change your tonality. So you have to lower your tone a little bit. You have to be a little bit softer, maybe a little bit slower. Definitely act curious and concerned. So Scott, your daughter not having to come out of pocket for this, that sounds really important to you. Can you tell me more about that? right? As opposed to just asking it matter of fact because we're just checking a box off of something that we want to accomplish. And so I don't want to take away from the fact that he asked it, because I'm, again, very happy that he asked it. Now you got to work on the tone.
What's that now?
Why do you feel like it's your responsibility and not hers?
Well, because it just is. It's just what it is.
It just is. So he clarified it, asked it a different way, which was good. It just is. Clarifying is still appropriate here. I mean, how do you mean it just is? You got to learn more. Get him to say more.
I mean,
There he goes.
I wouldn't have been left with my mom's funeral costs or my dad's funeral costs.
Yeah. So they had some protection in place?
Yeah, they did, yeah. Well, my dad was... I was young, so I don't know about my dad. I was too young to know anything about that.
Oh, okay.
My mom, she had hers covered.
And that probably made things a lot easier for everyone, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I really hope you're not listening to this video passively, that you're paying close attention. So what the agent just did again was sort of lead the witness with providing an assumptive statement about how that situation made him feel, instead of asking an open-ended clarifying question to get a better, truer answer from the client. So your mom having everything in place, or so your mom having a policy to take care of those for you, what type of relief do you think that provided for you? Right? So I'm just asking an open-ended question. I'm using the word relief because I want him to tell me the answer to that question, as opposed to just spoon feeding him the answer or leading the witness.
Just so I can get a clearer picture, Mr. Rice, have you by chance given any thought as to whether you would prefer a traditional burial with a plaque, casket, vault, and headstone, or maybe do you prefer a cremation instead?
Well, I'd prefer traditional, but it'd probably have to be cremation because it was the expense. I mean, I prefer to be buried.
Might have to settle for cremation, okay. Because cremation is cheaper and you think you might not be able to afford a traditional, right?
Right.
Okay. Is there anything special you would want your family to do with your ashes once they have them? Like spread them over the ocean or keep them in an urn?
Right over the river, Mackinac River.
Mackinac?
Yeah.
Mackinac.
Clarifying question. What about the Mackinac River is special for you? And this is now about creating the need for your client's wishes to be carried out, the importance of it for your client's final wishes to be carried out, rather than it just be so centric on the consequences of the ones left behind. Sometimes it's just as important for your customer to have that traditional burial. Because religiously or for whatever beliefs they have, they don't want to be cremated, or they want to be cremated, but they want to make sure that it's done in a certain way and the ashes get to the family, and they don't want to just be burned with a bunch of random bodies because the state has to take over. So also be mindful that it's important for our clients that they're heard and that their final wishes are also carried out.
Oh, river. Okay. And Scott, I'm curious, have you thought about what would happen if you decided not to do anything at all?
Probably. Yeah, I have thought about it, yeah.
And
okay, and what did you come to the conclusion of? What would you do then?
So my daughter, my sons, or all of them will be stuck with my expenses.
Right, and
is that what you want?
Something that you don't want to have.
See the opposite? See, he gave him the answer. That's something you don't want to have. Another assumptive statement there, instead of asking the question, but is that what you want? Well, no, I don't want that. But you've been thinking about this for some time. You haven't had insurance since you retired 9 or 10 years ago. So, why now? Like, why not just put it off another couple years? Why is it important for you to put this in place now? Like, kind of take it away.
Right. And I want to leave something behind to them.
Okay, that's good to know.
I leave money behind to them, something besides an expense. I want to leave them some money,
Yeah, of course. Be a blessing to your daughter. What father would?
Another assumptive statement. Of course, it'd be a blessing. What father wouldn't want to? I'd also like to leave them some money, Yeah, that would be nice. And why would it be important for you to also leave them some money in addition to making sure they don't have to pay for the funeral? Question-based, always. I've heard once, and I shared this with my team this morning, and for the life of me, I can't remember where I heard it. So if you know the answer to this, put it in the chat. But I read somewhere, I heard somewhere, that top sales professionals ask like 150 questions in a sales presentation. And maybe that's wrong. Maybe that's an exaggeration. And a average to low average salesperson asks like 20 questions or 10 questions. And it's usually just all of these assumptive statements to get the clients to say yes and like leading them. But it really didn't get them to open up or talk or motivate them or create that needs gap enough to where they are ready to make a change at the end. And so I didn't even count how many opportunities we had for clarifying questions, but this is just one section of the script. And there are so many opportunities in each of our sections to continue to ask more and more clarifying questions. And what you'll find is when your customers are an active participant, it's just the obvious choice to move forward with you at the end, because also what clarifying questions does, it creates trust. It creates trust in you that you have their best interest in mind. And this isn't a one-sided conversation where I'm just projecting how I feel about this onto you. I think we're wrapping up discovery.
I didn't want to do that. That makes sense. So let me see if I understand this correctly. You had a policy through work 8 to 10 years ago. You've since retired and don't have anything in place to protect your family in case something were to happen to you. You're leaning towards cremation because traditional is so expensive, but ultimately you want to make sure that Tabitha has some sort of protection in place so as to not leave her with a huge burden that she has to handle herself. Okay, perfect.
Okay, so that's the end of discovery. I hope you watch this again so that you can really listen and pay attention to the clues, so that when you get on your sales calls, you will be more likely to pay attention to them. Don't accept surface level answers. Don't leave the witness and volunteer your interpretation or your opinion about what they meant onto you. Ask open-ended clarifying questions instead. When you said XYZ, what did you mean by that? Or tell me more, or what type of impact did that have? That sounds important to you. Can you tell me more about that? All of those things will get you far greater results over time, and even in the short term. You won't have to go through as many leads because you will be engaging and closing a much higher percentage of the people that you are speaking with. Thank you so much for watching. If you learned anything from this video, please give it a big like. I always like to hear from you, so take a minute, post a comment. And if you have any interest on learning how to join our team, my contact information is in the description below. And I hope you have a wonderful sales day. Thanks. Bye.